Today, we're going to explore the very core mechanism that drives persistent substance use. And to really do that, we have to set aside some of our most common assumptions and just look directly at the biology of motivation itself. So, let's start with a statement that might seem, well, completely counterintuitive. The driving force behind persistent substance use isn't actually the pursuit of pleasure. And that single idea, if we let it sink in, changes how we understand the entire process. And this brings us right to a central conflict, something we can call the pleasure paradox. It's really a fundamental question of what's truly motivating the behavior. So here's the core of that paradox. If the good feeling fades, if the experience stops being enjoyable, why does the compulsive seeking continue? Why does it often seem to get even more intense? Well, the answer seems to lie in a critical distinction the brain makes between two very different separate systems: the system for liking something and the one for wanting it. Neuroscientists have a name for this. They call it the incentive sensitization theory. And what it explains is that repeated substance use causes real neurological changes that create this powerful, almost pathological motivation, a wanting for the substance, even as the pleasure you get from it, the liking, decreases over time. So this is really the crucial point. Liking and wanting are not the same thing. Liking is that good feeling, the euphoria, and with repeated use, tolerance builds up, and that system gets weaker. Wanting, though, is a deep motivational drive, and that system doesn't get weaker. Instead, it becomes hypersensitive. It actually strengthens into this compulsive, powerful urge to seek. And this is where that wanting system can essentially hijack the brain's most basic survival centers. Cues in the environment, a place, a person, even a smell, can trigger the very same motivation circuitry that tells us to find food or water. The substance becomes the single most important target, and that drive to get it feels just as critical as survival itself. This whole process results in a brain that is physically rewired. It creates a state where that powerful wanting persists, and often for a very, very long time. 9 days. This number comes from a pretty startling 2016 study, and it really illustrates just how persistent these changes can be. In that study, researchers examined brain tissue from deceased heroin users, and they found that a key protein, one that's associated with chronic craving, it acts almost like a dependence memory switch, was still present in the brain's reward center 9 days after the person had died. So just think about what that means. The change we're talking about isn't temporary or just psychological. It's a profound, long-lasting, molecular-level alteration to the brain's core motivational hardware. All of this evidence really brings us to a fundamental shift in perspective. The issue at hand becomes one of biology, not will. The struggle, then, is not a failure of will. It's a direct conflict with a rewired, deeply ingrained biological drive, one that has been sensitized to operate at the level of survival,